John Hewlett. Isn't this amazing?
It is amazing.
I mean, you can hardly walk around right now without getting teary-eyed about what you have pulled together. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't believe the people that have sat in that chair in the last 2 days and expressed such gratitude for what you have done and what you have put together. I mean, literally, your dream of healing the hearts of mankind, John, it's here.
Well,
it's no longer a dream. It's your reality.
Well, that's really flattering and humbling. You know, about 10 years ago, when I walked away from a very good income in most people's world, 7 figures with a network marketing company, after previously leaving a multi-million-dollar income in the insurance business. Why do I leave these incomes behind? I haven't quite figured that out. But when I decided to start, that I thought the only answer to being able to change the world was to do it myself. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea how difficult it would be to, well, formulating was one thing, because I'd had 4 or 5 years experience and I had kind of connected a few of the important dots, but the manufacturing process, the flavoring process, oh my gosh, flavoring, as you know from your own experience in dealing with flavoring of a nitric oxide product. I mean, it's the hardest product probably in the world to flavor, that to make it palatable.
Well, arginine is brutal.
Arginine's brutal. Quercetin's brutal. Grapeseed extract that you would think from grapes would be good. It's horrible.
It's horrible.
And now we've added lion's mane, which is like, you know, it's like roadkill. I mean, it's terrible. The flavoring's been the biggest challenge. The manufacturing has been a big challenge. Obviously, the marketing is kind of what was my wheelhouse. And I felt like from my 40 years, 50 years of sales experience that I could come up with a good marketing strategy. And I think it's proven that it's been pretty good. Because since most companies fail and we're now past the 10-year mark.
You are.
And
one thing we've been talking about is, imagine you had no idea 14 years ago when you embarked on this pathway.
17 years.
17 years ago, excuse me, that the Lord would have positioned you for such a time as this. If you look around, the number 2 most Googled request on Google is heart health, because of what's going on in our country today. So again, you started this all these years ago, and here you are today.
And the number 1 ingredient or nutrient that people Google up is vitamin D.
Yes,
and it's interesting. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand in the cardio miracle is the impact of the vitamin D. And I knew early that there was a special connection. Mm-hmm. And in the past, in my previous life with the other company, it was emphasized. And so I learned enough about it to know how important it was. But all they talked about is have a lot of it, take a lot of it. And they talked a little bit about the connection between nitric oxide and vitamin D, but they really didn't take how important they are. They're like Siamese twins. One helps benefit the other. And that was the exciting part when 2 years ago, the study was published with Frontiers in Nutrition. I mean, to have a product that I helped formulate with the help of Providence, I guess, because there was nobody else helping other than just learning from other people, that we could access the vitamin D stored in the body by being able to accept. My initial goal was I wanted to have nitric oxide safely delivered for 12 hours. That was the goal, 12 hours, because I had learned that 4 to 6 hours, maybe if you had a lot of arginine and enough citrulline, you could maybe get to 4 to 6 hours. But I thought, I want to get to 12 so I can take it twice a day and the people would get the benefit. And so when we developed the strategy, it was, oh, well, we need more. We don't need to spike as fast early by taking a lot of arginine. We needed to have types of arginine that would support a baseline or a therapeutic level. That just made sense to a guy like me. And then needed more citrulline instead of less, because the citrulline was going to convert to arginine. So it's like, let's get arginine number 1, then arginine number 2, and then citrulline, and then let's put in astrogen, which is astragalus root and panax ginseng to level it out. And then when it had to be 218 when Professor Malinsky published the study on vitamin D's impact on cardiovascular disease, and I cold emailed him, Lisa.
You're so good at that.
I sent him a cold email. Maybe ladies write off their guys with a "Dear John." Well, maybe I'm the other opposite that of a John who's writing to other people so they can then tell me, "Get away from me, John." But I sent this email saying couple of bold statements. I said, "Professor, first of all, I've learned from my years of selling is give them credit. Applaud people, congratulate them, do something that's important for them." So in the email, I said, "I want you to know how grateful I am for your discovery and research on vitamin D's impact on cardiovascular health. I'm so grateful that you've done this. Thank you for your expertise and what you've done. In that vein, I want you to know that I believe I have the finest nitric oxide supplement in the world." Now, Judy Mikovits would get mad at me because I now have to call it the finest nitric oxide boosting nutrient in the world. Yeah. So I'm going to move out of the S word and move into the nutrient world so she doesn't get mad at me. But so I sent this email saying, "I think I found something that you might find interesting," because I had researched him and found out that he not only was the breakthrough scientist on vitamin D's impact to heart disease, but he had published more on nitric oxide than anyone. And that he was actually the man behind the curtain for the Nobel Prize trio that had won the Nobel Prize. Tadeusz Malinsky is the guy who tested in the lab and proved the things that they were working on. He was kind of disappointed he didn't get the Nobel Prize as well, because he felt like he kind of did. He proved what they were thinking was true. That aside, the next day, now this is a published study, and it was making all the rounds, Mercola, all of the emails from all the health people that you and I get. They were all going, "Oh my gosh, here's the connection." And Tadeusz, he was from Poland. Nobody had heard of him really, unless they were really in the science world. I hadn't heard of him. And then his PhD assistant emails me back and says, "We got 5,000 emails, but Professor Malinsky wants to talk to you." Because I said that, now seriously, it was a nice email, but that's providential. That's a miracle.
John,
that's
everything
a miracle.
About this is providential, but also because you've been obedient. And
just tried to follow.
But you've had such a great desire for healing the hearts of mankind. That's what it has been like for you for how many years?
It's been since 2007. When it was early 2008 when I decided to walk away from my multi-million-dollar, very successful business, which put a lot of angst to a lot of people who knew me at that point in time. And I said, healing people's lives is more important than insuring lives and making a lot of money in the insurance business.
You should put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, really. Yeah, healing hearts is better than insuring hearts or whatever.
That's good.
So when that happened, that just was, and when I first found something that fixed my own problem of my own family genetics of heart disease, blood pressure, triglycerides. I know, and my old colleague and friend, Robert Young, Dr. Young, the expert on alkalinity, he was analyzing my blood down at his ranch because he and I went to high school together. And he goes, he was always on me about that I shouldn't eat meat and I shouldn't eat fruit and I shouldn't be overweight.
Fasting.
And I should do all this. And he's looking at my blood and he goes, "What happened in 2002? And this was like this must have been like in, I don't know, 2010. He says, "What happened in 2002? I said, "I lost $12 million. He goes, "You had a heart attack."
Oh my goodness.
He, looking at my blood, saw, I don't know, like the rings of a tree. He said, "You had a problem at that point in time." And I said, "I did have a problem. Chest pains, radiated arm."
Goodness.
But I was too stubborn and too devastated by losing everything in a golf venture that went from 0 to 100 million back to -0, that I had a problem. And so I had that.
God preserved you.
Well, and then when I went in the hospital for a routine, for an emergency appendectomy, and literally the system tried to take me out 3 or 4 ways, not on purpose, but I believe there was an evil influence that actually influenced people to not do their best, that almost did me in. And that's what led me. So the worst experience of my life in health led me to looking for answers instead of the quadruple bypass they were recommending after the botched appendectomy, because my EKG went crazy, that I should come back and have a bypass. And I said, sorry, I'm not coming back.
I'm good.
So I started researching, and that's what led me to nitric oxide, winning the Nobel Prize, its impact on genetic heart issues, atherosclerosis, arteriosclerosis, all of those types of things. It just led me on that journey.
Well, our theme has been all weekend, and I think for a long time, is that all things work together for good for those that love the Lord. Think about that for a minute. If all things, it says all, not some, all things and everything you've been through and you walk through is here you are sitting today. Is that incredible?
All of, I think about that often, Lisa. I mean, Dr. Northrup gets mad at me when I say how old I am, but I'm now in my 73rd year on this planet, and my cardiovascular health is better than it was when I was 40. I have other problems and issues, but the reality, because I need to spend more time taking care of myself instead of working.
But you have more energy.
My energy is crazy.
Probably.
Well, it's crazy.
90% of the people that I know that is, 20 to 30 years younger than you.
No, there's no doubt about that. And I attribute that. I mean, even like last night, I was on my feet all day yesterday, talked all day, walked all over the place. I was wasted. And I slept for a couple of hours. Then I woke up thinking about all the things I still needed to deal with, having 100 people coming to this meeting that have high expectations, like herding cats. In a lot of ways. And so I got out of bed and I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't take any Cardio Miracle before I went to bed. I was just so exhausted. So I went and I took 2 scoops. Well, that was great because I knew I'd feel fine today, but then I couldn't sleep.
I get
and
that.
it's not because, and some people say, well, does it hurt your sleep? Most of the time, Janet and I can take it right before bed, but we only take 1 serving usually before bed. And we sleep like babies. We just sleep. It's great. But I had so much going on that it just totally zipped me on. So it took me about 3 hours to then get my hour and a half last little bit of sleep before it came today. And I've been on, it's really funny. When I did the first interview with Patrick Gentempo in Supplements Revealed, which was a huge, miraculous breakthrough for Cardio Miracle, and I believe for nitric oxide as a whole. When I did that interview and I came in, I'd had 2 hours sleep the night before.
Oh my.
I'd driven 700 miles back and forth in the period of 8 hours to be at the place to do the interview with Jeff Hayes and Patrick. And I walked in and met Patrick for the first time, exchanged pleasantries with Jeff, who had been on Cardio Miracle. And Patrick says, what are you drinking? Because he thought I was on, 12 cappuccinos or something. And I said, well, it's Cardio Miracle. He didn't know anything about it. And we ended up doing this great interview. And at the end of the interview, he goes, it was kind of like, Sleepless in Seattle and the famous scene where the cute gal has her experience over the table in the restaurant, and the old lady goes, I want what she's having. Well, that's what Patrick Gentempo basically said. Here's Patrick, suave, brilliant health analyst, fit as can be, and he goes, I want what you're taking, whatever it is. And by the time the end of our interview, he said to me, I'm going to get this from my mom, from my brother. He says, I thought I knew a lot about everything.
Yeah.
He said, I knew nothing about what you just talked about, the benefits of nitric oxide combined with vitamin D, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He says, and within a year, he told me, he says, it's the most important supplement he ever took.
I think it is. I've had the pleasure of interviewing nearly all of the people here for the last 2 days. I'm telling you, I have been near tears the whole time because I know who you are. I know where you came from. But listening to them individually give their independent stories, and then they're people of influence that are spreading your story. That you see the beauty of this that's transforming right before your eyes. I mean, people that have, you have a neurosurgeon. You have people
one of the top, who's a genius, who's very bright.
You have created something now, and you have wrapped this so beautifully in this gift that they can go forth and they can share with other people. One of the things that I think is important to talk about today is the product is one thing, but the opportunity is another. So you have created an opportunity for people, because we look at the economy right now. I mean, we can't turn on a television or read something without, everybody going into a fear state. But you have created this opportunity.
Well, tough times bring out the best in people.
Yeah.
I did my best work in my different careers in life when my back was against the wall. And that's because I was motivated by good parents who basically said, if you got a problem, you got to fix it. And so you just work harder. And then working smart's great, but a lot of people substitute saying, well, I'm working smart, which means they're not working.
Right.
You got to work. You got to press forward.
Right.
You got to slug it out every day. To me, Cardio Miracle and healing the hearts of mankind, it's a mission to me. It's not a business. I had an opportunity to sell the business. I had a chance a year ago to sell the business at a very, very substantial amount of money. And I said, you don't understand. I'm not looking to sell this. I'm not trying to monetize this. They go, well, you need to have an exit strategy. I said, I do. It's called heaven. I'm going to die. I said, that's my exit strategy. Yeah. I said, I love doing what I'm doing. And as hard as it is to be on my feet all day long and all the emotion and all the feeling and everything else. And frankly, you know me, because you know me well now, I don't like dealing with personnel other than customers. I love the customers. I like the affiliates. I don't like the day-to-day managing of the personnel, because I really kind of view myself as Santa Claus, but don't get me upset. Because
that's a good one. Yes,
because it's unfair. It's unfair because I expect others to think like I do.
Yes,
and that's not fair. They have a different life. They have different priorities. And my life isn't Cardio Miracle. I have 18 grandchildren. I have a blended family of nine children. I have a wonderful wife. I have a lot of things in life that are important to me.
You do.
But and I tried to blend them all together. So when I took all my kids and grandkids on a cruise, I was selling Cardio Miracle whenever I had a chance. But I had a blast with my family. Mm-hmm. But when I ran into somebody on oxygen in Juneau, Alaska, I said, here's a brochure and here's something that can help you. I was sitting in the hotel in Vancouver waiting to catch a flight to come home. And we just happened to go. And Janet, my motto is kind of like, Lord, we will follow thee. You tell us, we will walk, we will move our feet, guide our footsteps.
Amen.
And we don't pray as fervently about that. I just do it.
You do it.
But it's in my heart always that help me find who's the next person I'm supposed to share this science, this miracle with them that I've had myself. And we walk in this hotel, we wind our way around to find the only seats that were available in the Terminal Hotel in Vancouver. And we sit down next to these people, and out of the blue, I saw that she had a bag of something, this lady sitting there with her husband. And so I struck up a conversation. 5 minutes later, I'm giving her a brochure. Janet's telling her about her vitamin D story. And she had just been diagnosed with an arrhythmia.
Oh my.
She was just being put on a statin drug. And her parents, one of her parents was just diagnosed with pre-dementia. So it was like, the Lord put these people in front of us.
Yes.
Open your mouth. Speak.
Mm-hmm.
But we see those things every day.
Yes.
And as you look around yourself, everyone's compromised. Everyone's compromised.
Yes.
And these are stressful times.
These are.
When I learned that stress and probably next to that is high doses of caffeine are the two major reasons that nitric oxide is diminished in a person's body.
That's right.
Well, so what do you have? Somebody who's stressed out, who's drinking monster drinks,
and coffee,
or 4 cups of coffee, or
yeah.
4 bottles of Diet Coke, or whatever. They're in big trouble. Their immune system is like wide open to being exploited. So it's really been interesting. And as
you've been so recognizing the financial state of people. You talked about being Santa Claus. Well, Santa Claus John just introduced this, not only a program for people to be able to get out of financial dire straits, but also you created a doctor program, a professional program, and then you just made an announcement. You're now health sharing opportunity. That's huge, John.
The ambassador
Congratulations.
Well, we've wanted to. I knew that when I started the Cardio Miracle out of the nutritional MLM world, I would say to them all the time, we need to have more science. And they go, but we're afraid it won't work. What do you mean you're afraid? You mean we're just hyping this, or do we want to know the hard science? Some companies invest a lot in science. Some of them say they invest a lot in science, but they're buying the science. They're buying it from whoever they're getting to collaborate as their influencer or whatever. I didn't want that. I wanted hard science. I wanted the best science. That's why I went to Smolinski and said, take a look at this. He goes, what is your background? And I said, insurance, finance. He goes, really? How did you do this? And I said, I just talked to a lot of smart people the last 5 years and thought these things made sense. He goes, this is a very unusual, he says, a very unusual compound. And so, when he told me what it would cost to test it in his lab and what he normally charged the pharmaceuticals, and then I had Janet turn on the charm to his wife, and he and I, we went to dinner and we smooched him, and I said, I'm going to do a lot of stuff with you, Professor. And he says, okay, I'll do it for less than 100,000. And I was like, oh, thank heavens. And 2 months later, he called and he goes, it's the most remarkable compound I've ever seen.
Isn't that something?
And he said, because he said to me as we were writing him his first check, he goes, what if it doesn't work? And I said, that's why I'm here. I said, I've got better things to do than get involved with a product that doesn't work. I want to know if it works, and that's why I'm talking to you. And he came back later and ended up publishing a paper on the product that has been the basis of our additional published papers. And the AI and the scientists and the doctors, when they read it, and people when Dr. Judy says, John, I really love you, you're a great guy, but it's the science, it's the product, it's the results, it's the ingredients, it's the formulation. Those are the things that are really meaningful to me. So that's what I was trying to do, because I knew it was going to take hard science to bridge the gap between nutrition and medicine, which was already established as a pharmaceutical-driven and surgical-driven modality, and I wanted to bring in the prevention. So back to, I wanted to have doctors involved, but doctors don't like selling stuff.
Right.
Chiropractors sell lots of stuff. Nurses are the smartest of all of them, because they see that all the prescriptions don't work.
Correct.
They're the advocate for the patient. You are the nurse, and you're always having the doctor getting mad if you get in the way of their prescription writing or some of their stuff. And so it's a slippery slope. And so trying to do it. So what we finally did was developed a wholesale program similar to what some doctors have, chiropractors have, and others, where for themselves, family, friends, staff, they can buy it wholesale. And then they can sell it to their customers and make their margins that they deserve. But then we decided, let's add a referral component, because even though everyone says, by the sweat of your brow, you should eat thy bread, everyone would just as soon get a little of their bread from somebody else's sweat, if that's possible. And so everyone likes the idea of referring. That's i.e. how the network marketing multi-level business really flourished, was the idea of sponsor somebody who sponsors somebody who sponsors somebody who's really good, who makes everybody rich above them. Well, I have a problem with that, because I want the person who does the hard work to make the money.
Right.
But there's enough of an incentive to try to find somebody or to help somebody or introduce someone that I thought, okay, let's do a hybrid, what I would call an affiliate one-off. So it's an affiliate program, so you save the money, you don't have the excess cost, your price point doesn't have to be so high, your margins don't have to be so high.
Right.
But then when somebody refers someone, instead of paying Fox News or NBC or CNN or Costco that you're having to drive traffic to get shelf space, let's pay them. So I said, okay, we're paying Amazon X amount. Let's take that same amount we'd pay Amazon and let's pay it to the affiliate or ambassador or doctor.
It's brilliant.
And then we'll pay an add-on if they happen to refer to someone else who also is successful.
And you're just blessing people. You're
blessing people, and our goal, you know, Lisa, the thing that's been exciting is with many of the people that you've interviewed is we've been, in many cases, their largest source of income.
That's right. That came out. Absolutely.
And frankly, if they would have followed our plan a little more carefully, their income would have been 3 or 4 times bigger. Yes, you know that because we've fought often with their gatekeepers and others who are having them selling, you know, planes, trains, and automobiles instead of focusing on health, that they would do better if they focused more on something that really works with real science that has unbelievable retention, like Cardio Miracle does, that do better financially while they're helping more people. But we've had to work our way to that point of credibility. But with this new doctor referral program, ambassador referral program, somebody can go into their friend who owns a gym or has a massage clinic, or somebody may have a group of optometrists or whatever, enroll them into the program and get a little piece of the action if you help them be successful. I like that.
What a blessing.
If you help them and you introduce them, then I'm fine with that. You know, when I was in the insurance business in 1993, I was competing with another company, a very successful insurance agent. I'd always been the big cheese, but he was formidable. He was with a great company, I was with a great company, and we were both going after this very, very successful client. It was a big case. And partway through the case, I realized that his associate, there were 2 of them, was the next door neighbor and good friend of the big person with all the money. And that the other guy came in to help the guy who wasn't quite as swift to help make the deal to compete against me, who had been, you know, by reputation, I was one of the big dogs around.
Wow.
And so partway through the process, but I knew the other guy because he has actually lived somewhat nearby me and we had some things in common. So in the midst of our first initially jockeying for who was smarter, who was better, who had the best plan, the best company, I went to him and I said, you know, buddy, why don't we work together and let's knock this down?
What a concept.
And he goes, I've never had anyone from another company ever offer that. And I said, well, look, life is short.
Yep.
I got a lot of business. You got a lot of business. Why don't let's make this happen together. I said, I know what he says, well, I know that you are more technical than I and know more of the way. And the interesting thing is I'd had a better relationship with the lawyer. So they had a better relationship with the family, personal. I had a better relationship with the advisor. So when we teamed up, we went in the advisor, 3 weeks, biggest case in the history of the state of Utah.
Wow.
3 weeks. And so I helped them. If we'd have done it on our own, it would have been 1/5 of the size. And both sides of us made $1 million.
Brilliant.
On one deal.
Brilliant.
Because we worked together.
Yeah.
Strange concept.
Strange concept.
So I spent much of my career, even though I'm a really good prospector, having other people bring me their big prospects for me to help get them the maximum benefit and to do the best planning, and would split the deal even though it was 90% me. I didn't care. I was happy to split it with them because they made it easier, and I loved accomplishing the goal, and I could always make plenty of money. So that was something that was ingrained in me. So part of the Cardio Miracle compensation story for me is win, win, win. You know, we hear, the rising tide lifts all the boats and everything else. The reality is, if you help others get what they want, you'll always get what you want. Mm-hmm. And I believe in the concept. We hear cast your bread on the waters and it'll come back. I believe if you cast your bread on the waters, a bakery will show up on the beach.
I love that.
That's been my motto in life.
Yeah.
And that's why I get involved in patriotic causes. That's why I donate to charity. And that's why I do crazy things like sponsor Health Liberty events when I had no business doing it. That's why I donate to causes that have no business doing it. That's often why I hire people I have no business hiring. It's just a part of me that I know that if I give and give and give, God will bless me with whatever I'm supposed to do with what we need. And when we had this event come up with Tucker Carlson and Glenn Beck, and I heard about it, and I just met Glenn 3 months before and introduced him to Cardio Miracle. And I saw Tucker, and I love Tucker, because I love that they fired him, but he essentially walked away, and now he's doing great.
Yeah.
I've done that about 7 times in my 60-year career, walked away over principle.
Yes.
No, I never got fired because I was always the most profitable person in the mix. But I've walked away over ethical concerns and companies that didn't do what I thought they should do. And so when I heard about that, I called the person over the whole tour and I said, I'd like to help sponsor this. And he told me, well, it's millions of dollars. I said, no, I just want the Utah event with Glenn Beck and Tucker, just Utah. And we negotiated. It was by far the biggest investment we ever made.
Sure.
By far. And I said, we got to do that. Well, other people looked at it and they said, what in the hell are you thinking doing this? I said, I don't know. I just feel really good about it.
God has promised.
More good things have happened since I made that commitment. In fact, even to the point that last week, going live today, we got approval for HSAs, FSAs on Cardio Miracle to be used through health savings accounts.
That is huge, John.
Unbelievable.
That is so huge.
I believe it's a direct result of us trying to help save our republic and heal the hearts of mankind. Because I've been trying to figure out how to do that, but I haven't had enough time to do it. And literally, it came.
Dropped in your lap.
Dropped in our lap.
Isn't that amazing?
Things like that. So when you talk about this event with these people, I'm looking there. I used to chase Robert Bell around trying to give him a sample and a brochure. Now he's chasing me around to hug me and tell me how much it means to me what we've been able to do for him and his business. Same thing with Chris Northrup. How do you not love this woman? I love her.
One of the top physicians in America.
I ended up selling her business partner for like 3 months, getting him on Cardio Miracle just to try to get her on the phone, which I couldn't get. And I finally got, through a window, a 1-hour lunch appointment in Maine, which is like the hardest place on North America to get to. That and maybe Quebec, Canada. But I ended up flying to Boston, driving to Maine, staying in Maine an extra day to have lunch for an hour, and they said 1 hour, that's it. And we connected like nobody's business.
Oh, she's amazing.
Oh, she's great. And last night we're singing a duet. So how lucky am I?
Isn't that amazing?
And the same thing, Judy Mikovits.
Again,
Judy Mikovits, we made the biggest commitment. And another thing that I never should have done, it was way beyond our budget. And what happens at the VIP dinner, I'm seated next to somebody I didn't even know, which was Judy Mikovits.
That's something.
And by the end of dinner, she, her sister, all wanted to know about Cardio Miracle. And look at what
God is directing your steps.
Oh, it's been amazing. So I just spend the money and hope for the best. Make the commitment.
But you also believe in people.
I believe in people.
Until they don't believe in
well,
themselves.
And that's really the hard part for me, Lisa. I mean, I said to one of our new associates, I said, I want you to be a millionaire. I really do. I want everyone to be successful.
Yes, yes.
I just have to, but I have to be, we have to have measurable results.
Of course.
To be able to justify that.
That's business.
And so, but that's the hard part of business that I don't like, because I really do prefer being Santa Claus. I really.
Well, you certainly
Well,
are.
no, I really
Seriously.
do. I used to laugh about it years ago because I said, a lot of people say I'd rather be respected than loved. I always said I'd rather be loved than respected.
Yes.
And sometimes that doesn't serve you as well in business.
Yeah,
but now I'm just kind of in between. But even Santa gets upset sometimes, so that happens. So.
But what is so exciting too, you are now on one of the biggest television ministries in the country.
And it's been a blast.
And what a wonderful, two of the producers are here, the president of the network, and also one of this most wonderful, ministry up in Yuba City.
Oh my gosh, Pastor Dave and Cheryl.
I mean, these people you literally have brought all these beautiful souls together this weekend, and they've got a chance to network.
Yep.
And now, think about, we don't know what's ahead of us.
We don't.
You are not only providing a product that literally is second to none, you're providing an opportunity, but you've now also connected people so that now we know who our tribe is. We know who our people are, right? As we go into and enter into whatever's before us. So I don't feel people are going to leave this weekend and have fear, like they might have arrived with.
And Gary Sandberg, who started working with us, he heard me say it early when I was talking to him. I said, Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
Yes, it is.
And then Keith Clearwater said the other day, he says, no, it's not hope in a glass, it's results in a glass.
There you go.
Well, you know what? We need a lot more hope in this world.
Yes,
and
we do, John.
I'll tell you, I'm really tired of watching people die.
No. I am too.
We just got the saddest news in the last 2 days. One of Janet's dearest friends, daughter-in-law died. The circumstances are eerily similar to the things we've been suspected of, and yet the physicians have said, oh, she was diagnosed with leukemia and then died the next day with blood clots in her brain. Don't remember the last time leukemia resulted in blood clots in the brain for a 41-year-old perfectly healthy person. We're witnessing some really, really, really trying and challenging times. And that's why the science is important. That's why having people like Jonathan Emord advising and directing and helping. That's why we're trying to bridge the Christian faiths and the different religious determinations. I mean, we've got Latter-day Saints hugging evangelicals and evangelicals inviting Latter-day Saints and other fundamentalists and others to preach at their churches. We're all in this together.
I always say, you know what? There's 12 disciples and only one of them went bad.
That's true. And they all came from different walks of life.
Totally.
And totally one of my missions with Cardio Miracle is to bridge the gap among all those who believe in the gathering of Israel.
Yes.
And believe in the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And that we can help heal the hearts of mankind to usher in that time, knowing that these are going to be difficult times. So I'm not ashamed of that. As the Apostle Paul said, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
No.
Well, I am not ashamed of that. I am honored to be on what I believe is his mission, because nitric oxide is the spark of life in the cell.
It is.
Now, if that isn't spiritual, I don't know what is.
No.
So to me, it's a spiritual journey, but all missions have to be funded.
Yes.
And we're being blessed to be able to fund and participate. And we'll take it as far as the Lord wants us to take it, to wherever we can, whatever we can do, without discrimination to anyone of any sort.
That's right.
We have people that are totally different persuasions. We get criticized from time to time. Oh, we don't want to hear about Tucker Carlson or whatever, and say, hey, fine. There's a lot of nitric oxide. Take something else if you don't want to. If you think that we're too. We believe in what we believe in. We believe in our country. We believe in patriotism.
Yes.
We believe in Jesus Christ. We believe that all people should have equal opportunity.
Yes.
We believe that all races are all children of God. I just have a hard time making a deal with people who don't value life.
That's difficult.
I have a serious trouble. I call it I have a deal-breaking issue with people who are baby killers. I just have a problem with that. And so
That's good.
I'm sorry, but I just don't believe in that. Now, I know there's circumstance, and I know that there's others.
Well, because you're trying to support life.
We're trying to create support
yes.
and help have a happier,
Correct.
healthier life. The same reason I don't think that think we've treated our veterans poorly. We've treated our elderly poorly.
Correct.
The government's done a lousy job in a lot of those areas. We need to take back the charities, the disabilities, the
Yes.
service of people, and we need to do it through the private sector, through the churches, through faith and charities, and get the government out of our
Yes.
healthcare, get the
Yes.
government out of our religious worship, our freedoms, and let's go back to the Bill of Rights and the founding fathers, that this nation was founded as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Preach it, Brother John.
That's what we want.
You
That's what
got
we
it.
want.
And I know we could go on forever, but you have an exciting event this evening.
I do.
You have
Couple of-
today and tomorrow.
We have Protocol 7, which
Protocol
we
7.
became a part of.
Yes.
We're excited about the message and the knowledge that comes from that. And then later on, we'll have some fun. And my extremely talented son, who's some
Can't
people
wait.
call the best entertainer in America, is going to be sharing with our guests his musical talent. I'd like to take credit for all of his talent. I'll take credit for part of it.
Well, we had an opportunity to. He shared his heart.
Oh,
with
did
us
he today?
Earlier
Oh, good.
today,
Oh,
and he
good.
shared with his,
He's something. He's-
transferring over into the role that, we believe that he's been anointed for, and standing beside you on this path that you're on. So,
Very proud of him. Very proud of all my children.
Yes.
Josh has done a great job with our company.
Incredible.
It's fun to have my daughters involved and to have them
Yes.
help in other things.
Yes.
So I'm a very, very blessed man, and I'm grateful every day. And truly, I would not be here today if it weren't for nitric oxide and learning about the science, and then ultimately being able to thrive in my own, modest way at this stage of life. Because I feel like
fantastic.
the spark of life has kept the spark going in me.
It has, obviously. Well, John, we love you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for the opportunity to
was great to
work
be with you.
together. This is
Been
awesome.
great. Well,
And do more great
thanks to all of our
things.
customers. Thanks to
Yes.
all of our
Yes.
associates
Yes.
who help make it all work for us. Thanks so much.